one.
Right.
Take two.
He's got to clap so that when you line up the sound of the video, you've got a reference point
Oh.
on all the cameras and yeah.
Okay. All right. He must think we're crazy.
He can still hear us, Grandma.
He can see you even. I know. His family. He must think. Don't worry, Daniel. It's not in the genes. Your kids won't have it. They'll have it doubly.
Skip us a generation, don't you know?
Are you sure? Yeah, that's me. I'm alright. You're
I'm not alright. Daniel, you better be worried.
Nah.
Anyway,
Daniel will call out when it's ready.
Sure, there are a few skeletons in their closets.
At least we don't have deadly skeletons in our closet.
Almost.
Your mother's family does.
Oh, that's them. Oh my goodness.
Somebody killed somebody.
that's
I know.
alright.
Yeah,
In her family.
yeah. Somebody's father killed the mother.
Yes.
And this Jörg
How did you
Szymanski that
find-
I'm talking to,
How did you find that out?
the Szymanski's from Schildeck, where you're from, Schildeck. He said that there was a lot of trouble in the family a couple of generations ago. Somebody killed somebody for the money from an estate. And I said, well, I actually happen to know, blah, blah, blah. Where does he live? He's the one I wanted to go see. We don't know if we're related or not.
All right.
Yeah. We're Szymanski and he's Szymanski from
Yeah.
Schildeck. We're both from Schildeck, and Schildeck's this big,
Yeah.
you know.
But then,
Szymanski and Szymanski.
but then, in your family, Koshruns, wasn't it with the Koshruns where there was somebody killed somebody?
The baby.
No. Somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, there is.
Do you want to watch
There's murder there too.
Really?
Oh.
You can just leave it.
Uh,
It's on 2 minutes.
Alright. Alright, we're good to go then. Sorry. Audio glitch.
Okay.
all right.
Sorry, need to cough. Okay, tell us about your wedding day.
Wedding day.
What a day.
Well, you can say that again. What a day. It was a good day. It was a very good day.
It was raining. It was a miserable day.
Yeah, that's right. It was
No, on that day.
it was
Okay.
an on-off day.
What
it,
day?
wasn't raining all the time.
It was the 22nd of April, 1960. We got ready. We didn't have any cars to drive us, so we had to hire a taxi to take us to the church.
The taxi, yeah.
And
What church?
St. Augustine's in Wodonga.
Yeah.
St. Augustine's in Wodonga.
Only a small church, but a nice church. It's when you come from the expressway, you turn to
From
Wodonga.
Albury.
From Albury.
You turn right.
And it's the first church on the right.
Yeah.
As you come into Wodonga, so it's easy to find. It's only a
And-
small church, and they got a school in the yard as well.
That is primary. No, that was the infant school there.
I don't know what
Yeah,
kind of
because
school.
we went to the primary school after that. We were at church, we got married, and Father Curtin had said that we should actually go to the school. Because of my age,
Before we got married.
no, after we got married, we went to
After?
the school. The taxi driver took us to the school. We've got the photos. And we were presented to the school.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
Remember?
To the class, yeah.
Yeah, to a specific class, or
I'm not sure whether it was a specific class, but
we were presented to the school,
to the kids, yeah.
to the kids.
Yeah.
Why?
Because we were so young.
Because we were young, and I think
we were the youngest couple in Australia, or in New South Wales at the time. I'm not sure.
And but I think what they were trying to say to the young people then, you know, this is a young couple starting off in their life. Look at them. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We just stood there.
But the funny thing was, this is that when we got married, instead of us giving money to the priest
That was
or to the nuns, they gave us money.
because we didn't have anything.
We were very poor, you know. That's just where Margaret arrived 2 months before, 3 months before. We didn't have any money, so they finished up giving us money. They gave us.
Father Curtin gave us an envelope with £25 in it.
Mm-hmm.
The sisters, the nuns gave us an envelope. I think it had £5 in it.
But that was a lot of money though. That's just what
That
the
was,
equivalent
yeah.
to, in those days today, it was about.
It'd be about $100.
No. If you have to look at it in terms of how much you earned at the time. If you, as a worker, you would have had to, for £30, you have to work 2 weeks, 2 weeks salary. So if you earn $700, $800, you'd be looking at about $1,500. So it's a substantial amount of money that they gave us. It's not peanuts.
That was in 1960.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And yes,
And I was a government official, don't forget, and I only got £19, but the average worker would have only got £14 and £15
Per week, per month.
per week. Yeah, wasn't much.
yeah, so we got married. We got presented to the school.
Yeah,
And that was it.
and then we came to Sydney. My father already had an apartment rented here.
Your father?
My father, yeah.
In Maroubra.
Yeah, and we moved in together in one apartment because the rent was very expensive. What was the rent?
It was 10 guineas.
10 guineas, that was. No, it was more than 10 guineas.
It was 10 guineas, it was £10 and 10 shillings.
£10 and 10 shillings.
Per?
Per week.
Per week.
Everything per week.
Mm.
And I couldn't afford it by myself.
Yeah.
No, because when my first job, what did I have? About.
13, 14 pounds?
No, it was more than that. I think I had 16
15 pounds or 16
15,
pounds.
16 pounds.
But that was with overtime.
No, without overtime. With overtime, I was making probably about 20. And I can't pay half in rent. And I rent in out of proportion those days.
Mm.
So we were forced to live together.
But that's not an unusual thing for European
No.
families.
No, it
European,
wasn't.
not unusual, but for the Aussies it would have been.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
And we lived in Maroubra then.
Maroubra Beach.
On Maroubra Beach.
Harewood Street.
Harewood Street,
I don't know the number anymore. But the building is still there, I understand.
That's where Sitta lives.
Yes.
Sitta, yeah, she
Yeah,
lives.
I didn't know
That's
that.
where.
Yeah.
Sitta lives
I knew
in a building across from us, almost entirely
that-
across
that. Yeah, I
from us.
knew that.
Those
Yeah.
huge
Yeah,
buildings
same street.
across
When she
the-
said Harewood Street, I knew exactly where the
Yeah,
house that she lived
That's
in.
where I was born, Amy.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I remember you because when we brought you home, we used to bathe you in a little bathtub on the kitchen table. on the kitchen table, you know, like it was a little tub.
Had you
But
planned to have a child so soon? Or is that just how it
No, we didn't plan anything. We just took things as it came.
The
Then we started
Catholic-
planning after the second one. Then we started
Oh,
planning.
yeah.
After you,
Hmm.
2 years later we started to plan. We thought we'd either have
With
one
the net,
now
with the net,
and that was
After
it.
that. After
You know.
that, yeah.
Mm. That was out at London then.
Yeah, it was very difficult times because we arrived, had babies and everything, you know, like it wasn't easy. But anyway, today we're not looking too bad.
I understand years later you went back to the nuns at St. Augustine's.
Yeah.
It was our 25th wedding anniversary. At the time we had to go to Melbourne
Yeah.
to a function. And so we decided it was appropriate to go past a church
Put your pillow up.
and
We stopped by the church and we made a nice donation. So I probably never knew who made this donation.
Hmm.
But when that was already. That was
That's
already,
what we
that
found
was already
out.
about 25 years ago.
yes, yeah.
We're talking long time, you know, like, how old are you, Amy, now? You're,
26.
well, 1 year after you were born.
Mm.
A long time ago. Yeah. We stopped by and we gave them a nice donation, you know, as payback for the kindness they did to us.
And Father Curtin, what do we know about him?
Apparently he got killed in a car accident.
Yeah, one of the nuns wrote to us.
Yeah. Sister, was it Sister Teresa?
I think Teresa, that's
Sister
the name.
Teresa.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Because that's right. Because I took Teresa when I got confirmed with Aaron.
Ah, yeah. That's why I took Teresa.
Mm.
Good woman.
She wrote to say that he got killed in a car accident. I think, that was about, what?
Quite a few years later.
5, 6 years later, that's all.
Yeah.
And
We're still in contact with them, you know, like.
Yeah,
Must
for a
have
few
been-
years. For a
must
few
have-
years we were in contact. And I think after Father Curtin, then one of the nuns passed away.
Yeah.
And that was it. We sort of
Yeah,
lost
drifted
touch.
apart, yeah. And but they were getting on in age too.
But they were lovely. They were lovely nuns. You
And the
know.
thing is that we were too busy really in those days, you know, living our lives, young family, kids and this and working, what have you. And nowadays you can stay in contact with people longer with emails and phone calls and whatever, but in those days it was, you had to physically sit down and write a letter and stick it in an envelope, put it in the mail. It was a lot difficult, much more difficult to keep a relationship going on a letter basis than it is today.
Mm. Yeah, but then you had a lot of things going on too that you didn't really work related.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I mean, I was working. I was working every night till about at least 8 or 9 o'clock. I wouldn't be home before 9, 10 o'clock.
After your job at Albury Wodonga,
Yeah.
at Bodygilla, where were you employed then? What was your next?
I got a job in when I was working for the employment service. How it started actually. When I was working for the employment service, I was working with the employment officer from the Sydney Water Board. He employed hundreds of people for the Water Board, and I also worked with the employment office of the Wollongong Steel, or BHP Wollongong. And I sent a lot of people there as well, BHP Newcastle also. And I was sitting, say, with the employment officer side by side, and when they had all their people, then they took off. And then somebody else I sort of interpreted for somebody else. I interpreted for the German-speaking people, okay? They had other interpreters for the Yugoslavs and Dutch and God knows what other languages, Italians and so on. I was the German interpreter. And when he had enough workers, he left. And when I was working with the Sydney employment officer, he asked me at the end before he left, he asked me, what are you going to do when you come to Sydney? Well, where are you going? I said, I come to Sydney. Well, when you come to Sydney, and if you're looking for a job, come and see me. So when I arrived in Sydney, that's the only contact that I had.
From Melbourne?
No, from Bonegilla.
From Bonegilla,
From
yeah.
Bonegilla. So I went to the water board in Pitt Street, I think it was. And I saw him, and he had an office in the top floor, right on the very top. I remember, right on the very top, and he greeted me, and he came out, and he said, "You come for a job?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a job." And he said, "Look, let's go." And he went with me through the whole building, from department to department, hand in hand, virtually, to try and find me a job in head office. Nobody needed anybody. So then he said to me, he gave me a job, because he promised me a job, so he gave me a job. So he sent me on standby to the waterboard depot in Ashfield. And I stayed there, maybe just sitting there in the office. I got paid and everything, doing nothing, just wasn't allowed to do anything. Just sitting there, and I got paid. I had to turn up every morning. When time was up, I had to go home and everything. And after about a month, maybe 3-4 weeks, I got tired, and I rang him up and I said, look, I don't want to sort of sit here doing nothing, I need a real job. And he said, if you can't find me a job, if you really can't find me a proper job, then I'll leave. And I think the week after I left, I looked in the paper and I found a job straight away. The first job I found was for working for...
methane company.
No, it wasn't methane. No, it wasn't for methane. It was for Universal Textiles.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first one I had, yeah. There's the importers of textile importers, printed cotton mainly, and rayon for curtains, curtain material or dress material. And I worked there for about 1-2 years. And they made promises, like, the thing is that if a man makes me a promise, he says, you start at this salary, and then you progress to this salary after a year, and then come to a year and it doesn't pay up. And I do work very good, but it didn't come good with the money. I just resigned and found myself another job. I resigned on a Friday. On a Monday, I looked on the paper all of the week, and on a Monday I already had another job, first interview. And it happened to be in another company called Wilcox Mifflin, exporters, and from their office, they were a little bit higher in the next street. I forget the name of the street that they were in, but from the back of their office, from the back window of their office, I could look down onto my desk where I was working before. Would you believe it? Such a coincidence. So I went to the back window and looked, holy baloney, you believe it? I'm looking down onto my desk and I could see who was working there, who was doing my job. And I worked there for about 2 years because they were a bit more generous. The first one was Jews, this was Australians. And they were more honourable, they gave you regular increases and everything. I worked there for a couple of years and I didn't think it was a sort of go-ahead company. Then I changed and so on. And I worked for a number of jobs until...
Where did you go to?
Until eventually my father and I started our own business.
No, from there you went to Mitsubishi.
No, not from there, not to Mitsubishi then. No, it wasn't Mitsubishi. From then, yeah, maybe it was Mitsubishi.
It was Mitsubishi.
Yeah, Mitsubishi. I worked there
in Kent Street.
Yeah, in Caltech's house, yeah.
Yes, and then after that you went to the